Miss Benneth? Jennifer looked up from the IQ waiting room chair as a man in a gray suit slid a folder across the table toward her. At this time, he said carefully, "You have temporary medical authority over Marcus Hale." Jennifer stared at him like he'd spoken another language. 5 years earlier, Marcus had emptied every account tied to their company and disappeared before sunrise. Now a hospital attorney was handing her control over his life. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Around them, machines beeped behind closed ICU doors while exhausted nurses crossed the hallway under fluorescent lights. Jennifer's fingers tightened around the folder. "There has to be some mistake," she said. The attorney shook his head. "Mr. Hale updated these directives years ago. Your name was listed personally." Jennifer almost laughed. Marcus hadn't called her in 5 years. Not after payroll checks bounced. Not after the IRS notices showed up in her mailbox. Not after employees screamed at her in parking lots demanding answers while he vanished with millions. A nurse pushed through the double doors. "He's awake again," she said quickly. "And he keeps asking for Jennifer." The attorney stepped aside. Jennifer stood slowly. 5 years ago, Marcus left her with frozen bank accounts, lawsuits, and a foreclosure notice taped to her condo door. Tonight, somehow, she had power over him. And for the first time in years, Marcus Hale was the vulnerable one. Jennifer followed the nurse down the hallway, her shoes echoing against the polished floor. Through the IQ glass panels, she caught flashes of ventilators, blue scrubs, pale faces under dim monitors. "Cardiac complications after a stroke," the nurse explained quietly. "He was unconscious most of the day. Then, he woke up and became agitated when federal investigators arrived downstairs." Jennifer stopped walking. "Federal investigators?" The nurse hesitated. "That's all I know. Of course there were investigators. Marcus never did anything halfway." 5 years earlier, Jennifer had built Benneth Logistics from a rented office with 2 folding desks and a used laptop. Marcus came later, confident, polished, connected. He brought investors, expansion deals, warehouse contracts. And then one morning, everything was gone. Every business account drained overnight. Vendor payments rerouted. Payroll wiped clean. Marcus disappeared before anyone could stop him. Jennifer still remembered sitting on her condo floor staring at her banking app refreshing over and over while employees filled her voicemail with threats and panic. She lost the company within weeks, then the condo, then almost everyone who believed she was innocent. The nurse opened the ICU door. Marcus lay surrounded by machines, thinner than Jennifer remembered. Tubes ran beneath his hospital gown. His face looked older, hollowed out. But the second he saw her, his expression collapsed. Not guilt. Fear. Real fear. His lips trembled as he tried to sit up. "Jennifer." She folded her arms. "You've got a lot of nerve calling me here." Marcus glanced toward the hallway window like someone might be watching. Then he whispered, "They never stopped looking for the money, did they?" Jennifer frowned. This wasn't the voice of a man regretting betrayal. This was someone terrified. Before she could answer, Marcus suddenly reached beneath his blanket with shaking hands. A thick envelope slid halfway into view. At the exact same moment, alarms exploded across the room. And Marcus tried desperately to hide the envelope before anyone else saw it. Nurses rushed into the ICU room as the monitors screamed above Marcus's bed. "Sir, stop moving." One of them shoved Jennifer backward, while another adjusted the oxygen line across Marcus's face. In the chaos, the envelope slipped from beneath the blanket and hit the floor near Jennifer's shoes. Marcus saw it immediately. His eyes widened. "Don't let them take it," he rasped. Jennifer bent down slowly and picked it up before the nurses noticed. For a second, neither of them spoke. 5 years of anger sat between them. Then Jennifer leaned closer. "You emptied our accounts overnight," she said coldly. "You left unpaid taxes tied to my name. I had collection agencies calling me for months while you disappeared." Marcus swallowed hard. "You don't understand. No, She cut in. You don't understand. I lost everything. The machines continued their steady beeping while Marcus stared at the doorway again, distracted every time footsteps passed outside. Jennifer noticed it immediately. Fear. Not shame, fear. Years earlier, she had trusted Marcus completely. Benneth Logistics had started as her small regional freight company. She handled operations, warehouse contracts, employee scheduling. Marcus handled growth. Investors loved him. Clients trusted him instantly. When the company nearly collapsed during an early fuel price spike, Marcus secured emergency financing that saved them. After that, Jennifer stopped questioning him, even when he insisted on controlling overseas vendor payments himself, even when he brushed off her requests to review certain international accounts, even when he laughed and told her, "Finance isn't your strength, Jen. You focus on people. I'll handle the numbers." Now, lying in a hospital bed connected to machines, he looked nothing like the confident man who once controlled every room he entered. He glanced toward the hallway again, then quietly said, "I never should have brought them near you." Jennifer frowned. Them? Marcus closed his eyes without answering. Minutes later, after nurses forced her out of the room, Jennifer opened the envelope alone in the hallway. Inside was a storage unit key and a folded handwritten note. "If I die before explaining, they'll assume you know." Jennifer's stomach tightened. "Know what?" Before she could read further, two people stepped into the hallway beside her. A man and woman in dark suits. Federal agents. The woman flashed a badge. "Miss Benneth?" Jennifer slowly lowered the note. The agent's expression hardened slightly. "When was the last time you communicated with Marcus Hale before tonight?" Jennifer sat across from the federal agents inside a hospital conference room that smelled faintly of burnt coffee and disinfectant. Outside the glass walls, nurses and visitors kept glancing in as they walked past. She recognized the look immediately. Suspicion. The male agent slid a tablet across the table. Old headlines filled the screen. Local logistics firm collapses after millions vanish. CO founders under scrutiny. Jennifer's jaw tightened. 5 years later, her name was still attached to Marcus's theft. "We know Hale moved money through shell companies overseas," the female agent said. "What we don't know is whether he acted alone." Jennifer laughed once under her breath. "You think I'd be working temporary bookkeeping jobs if I had access to millions?" Neither agent reacted. So Jennifer kept going. "I lost my business license credibility after the collapse. I slept in my car for 3 months. I had former employees threatening lawsuits I couldn't afford to fight." She leaned forward. "If Marcus hid money somewhere, I never saw a dollar of it." The agents exchanged a look. Then the male agent opened another file. "That's the problem," he said. "Marcus stole from your company, but most of the money disappeared again within 72 hours. Jennifer blinked. "What?" "We traced transfers moving through multiple offshore accounts," he continued. Then the trail vanished completely. For the first time, Jennifer's memories started rearranging themselves. Marcus hadn't acted arrogant before disappearing. He acted rushed, panicked, like someone running from something bigger than exposure. The conference room door suddenly burst open. A tall man in a leather jacket stormed inside. "Where is he?" Hospital security followed behind him uselessly. The man pointed directly at Jennifer. "You've got some nerve showing your face here." Jennifer stood slowly. "Who are you?" "Daniel Hale. Marcus's brother." His voice rose loud enough for people outside the room to stop walking. "You're the reason he's dying now." Jennifer stared at him in disbelief. "Your brother stole everything from me. And maybe if you hadn't pushed him." "Enough," one agent snapped. Security finally pulled Daniel back toward the hallway, but the damage was done. Staff members stared openly now. Jennifer could feel herself becoming the villain in the room all over again. As the door closed, the female agent lowered her voice. "There's something else you need to know." Jennifer looked at her. 3 weeks ago, Marcus updated his will. The agent paused. If he dies tonight, legal control of his remaining assets and business records transfers to you. Jennifer went still. He did what? Before the agent could answer, Jennifer's phone buzzed in her hand. A banking notification flashed across the screen. Account access detected, Benneth Logistics Reserve account. Her blood ran cold. Nobody had touched that account in 5 years. Jennifer shoved the phone across the table. That account should be dead, she said. Both agents were already moving. 10 minutes later, Jennifer sat in the back of an unmarked SUV speeding through empty streets while the male agent traced the login activity from a laptop balanced on his knees. It pinged from a storage facility on the east side, he said. Whoever accessed it knew exactly where to go. The female agent looked at Jennifer through the rearview mirror. You don't have to come with us. Yes, Jennifer said immediately. I do. Rain hammered the windshield as they pulled into a nearly empty storage complex surrounded by chain-link fencing and dim security lights. Unit 314. The key from Marcus's envelope slid into the lock smoothly. Jennifer's chest tightened. Marcus had prepared this. Inside the unit sat rows of banker boxes, metal shelves, and plastic containers stacked almost to the ceiling. The agents spread out immediately. Jesus, one muttered. Jennifer stepped farther inside. Old Benneth Logistics files covered a folding table. Beside them sat several prepaid burner phones, fake vendor contracts, and external hard drives labeled with investor names she barely recognized. The female agent opened one folder and went still. These contracts are fabricated. Jennifer stared around the unit as pieces finally connected in her mind. Marcus didn't just steal from the company. Their company had been used. For years, he was laundering money through our shipping network, she said quietly. The agent looked at her. Looks that way. Jennifer's stomach turned. Suddenly, memories she'd ignored for years came rushing back. Marcus insisting on overseas clients she'd never met, unusual rush transfers, invoices that vanished after being processed. Then the worst realization hit her. Marcus had never stumbled across her company by accident. He chose her. A hard-working owner with no financial experience beyond basic operations. Someone trustworthy enough to never be questioned by clients or banks. Jennifer stepped backward slowly, sick to her stomach. I was the cover. Before anyone answered, one of the burner phones rang. Every person in the room froze. The male agent carefully picked it up and answered on speaker. Silence. Then a distorted voice said, If Marcus talked, both of you are dead already. The line disconnected instantly. The agents moved fast after that, photographing everything, calling the number in for tracing. Jennifer barely heard them. She had opened another folder near the back shelf. Inside was a legal trust document. Her name sat at the top. Marcus Hale had secretly transferred the company's final untouched reserve account into a protected trust under Jennifer's control years earlier. The male agent's phone rang suddenly. He answered, listened for 3 seconds, then looked directly at Jennifer. We need to go. Now, what happened? Marcus is crashing. He grabbed his jacket. And he keeps demanding to see you before surgery. Jennifer looked once more at the storage unit surrounding her. At the evidence. At the lies. At the proof Marcus may have spent 5 years hiding from the same people who destroyed her life. By the time Jennifer returned to the hospital, the ICU floor was locked down. 2 armed officers stood outside Marcus's room. Doctors moved quickly behind the glass while machines pulsed in sharp, uneven rhythms. He's awake, a nurse told her. But not for long. Jennifer stepped inside. Marcus looked worse than before. Pale, sweating. His breathing shallow beneath the oxygen mask, but when he saw her, he motioned weakly for everyone else to leave. One doctor hesitated. Marcus forced out the words anyway. Please. The room finally emptied. Jennifer stayed near the foot of the bed with her arms folded. For 5 years, she said quietly, I thought you ruined my life because you were greedy. Marcus shut his eyes briefly. I was greedy. Then start talking. For several seconds, only the heart monitor filled the room. Then, Marcus spoke. Years earlier, after Benneth Logistics began expanding internationally, wealthy clients approached him privately about moving money through temporary holding accounts tied to freight transactions. At first, it looked harmless. Small transfers, fast commissions, no questions. Marcus agreed because the money was impossible to ignore. Eventually, the operation grew into a network involving shell companies, false invoices, and overseas accounts hidden behind legitimate shipping contracts. Jennifer listened silently as the full truth finally surfaced. "I thought I could take one last payout and walk away," Marcus admitted weakly. Then, someone inside the network stole millions during a transfer. Jennifer frowned. The missing money the agents couldn't trace? Marcus nodded once. "The second it disappeared, they assumed I took it, and because the transfers went through my company," Jennifer said slowly, "they assumed I helped you." Marcus looked away. Jennifer felt anger rise so fast it almost made her dizzy. "You drained our accounts and ran. I was trying to disappear before they found me. You left me there." Her voice cracked through the room loud enough to echo off the walls. "You left me to take the blame while I lost everything." Marcus tried to speak, but Jennifer kept going. "I lost my condo 2 months later. Did you know that?" She demanded. "I slept in my car behind a grocery store because I couldn't afford rent. Former employees posted my picture online calling me a thief. My own sister stopped answering my calls because she thought I helped you." Marcus's eyes filled for the first time. Not fear. Shame. "I know," he whispered. Jennifer laughed bitterly. "No, you don't." Marcus struggled to lift one trembling hand toward her. "The trust," he said. "I put it in your name after I realized they were wrong about you." Jennifer stared at him. "I couldn't fix what I did," he continued. "But if I died, I needed someone clean to have the records. Otherwise, everything disappears. The storage unit." He nodded weakly. "The evidence, the reserve account, all of it goes public through you." Outside the room, Jennifer could already see movement in the hallway. Agents speaking with hospital security. Phones ringing nonstop. The fallout had already started. Over the next several weeks, federal investigators used the evidence from the storage unit to dismantle the remaining fraud network connected to Marcus's operation. Financial executives tied to the shell companies were arrested. Several offshore accounts were frozen. News outlets quietly updated old stories that once painted Jennifer as complicit in the collapse of Benneth Logistics. For the first time in 5 years, her name was officially cleared. Former employees began contacting her one by one. Some apologized. Some just wanted answers. Marcus's own family stopped defending him after investigators revealed he knowingly sacrificed Jennifer to protect himself while he ran. The reserve trust Marcus created allowed Jennifer to recover enough assets to rebuild her life completely. Not the old company. Something smaller. Safer. Entirely hers. Back in the IQ, hours after their conversation, Marcus looked at her one final time. "Can you ever forgive me?" Jennifer stood silently beside the bed for a long moment before answering. "You didn't just steal money," she said. "You stole 5 years of my life." Marcus closed his eyes. He died before sunrise. Months later, Jennifer reopened a new logistics company under her own name, with tighter controls, independent audits, and no silent partners. In the top drawer of her office desk, she kept the old storage unit key Marcus hid beneath his hospital blanket that night. Not as a reminder of him, as a reminder of what blind trust costs. And every once in a while, when she locked the office late at night, she thought about the man who once held all the power between them, the man who left her with nothing, and how his final days were spent terrified she still had everything he couldn't take back.